Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the February 9th meeting of the Roseville Independent Redistricting Commission. The meeting is called to order. Clerk, will you please call roll?
Borowiak? Here. Cuthbertson? Here. Frank?
Here.
Griffith? Here. Ludwig?
Here.
O'Keefe?
Here.
Wagner?
Here.
Waldrop?
Here.
Willoughby?
Here.
McPhail and Sweeney are absent. Alternate Donor? Here. Kuhn?
Present.
And alternate Slaughter is absent.
All right, Commissioner Griffith, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? We'll now open it to public comments for anything that's not on the agenda. Anybody like to come forward to speak on anything not on the agenda? And just a reminder, we don't have call-ins tonight, so just folks that are in the audience. All right, go ahead and close public comment. Our first item under reports and presentations is 5.1, overview of preliminary redistricting plan and draft map B1. Joe Mandel.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Joe Mandel from the City Attorney's Office, and I'm going to be giving a presentation that's going to be an overview of the preliminary redistricting plan and draft map B1. We have draft map B1 over here in the corner on the left, and just for reference, that is a variation and an edit to draft map B, which is just on the right of it, so you can see the differences between draft map B1 and draft map B. But I'm going to give a quick overview and presentation of some of the background information of what we looked at for redistricting criteria to get to where we are today and some of the procedure to get this to a final map adoption. And so this is similar to the same presentation that I've given multiple times. And so I will move forward right now to talk about what is the purpose of the Redistricting Commission. And just to go back to the Independent Redistricting Commission was created when voters approved Measure R in the election in November of 2020, and that's when we added Article 11 to our Roseville City Charter, which was the creation of the Independent Redistricting Commission. And the Independent Redistricting Commission is here to establish a redistricting process that's open and transparent and allows public comment on the drawing of city council district boundaries, ensures that district boundaries are drawn according to the redistricting criteria set forth in the city charter and under state and federal laws, and ensures that the redistricting process is conducted with integrity, fairness, and without personal or political considerations. When drawing a map, there's various redistricting criteria that the Commission needs to consider, and this language is noted in Article 11, Section 11.09 of our City Charter. And these are some of the items that the Commission shall consider when drawing its final map. Council districts should be substantially equal in population as required by the U.S. Constitution, and that population equality is it's based on the census that is taken every 10 years. Item number 2, Commission shall draw its final map so that council district boundaries comply with the U.S. Constitution, the California Constitution, the Federal Voting Rights Act of 1965, and any other state and federal laws. So those are the items that the Commission shall consider in their redistricting criteria. These are the next items that are criteria that the Commission shall consider in the following order of priority. So order of priority number 1, to the extent practicable, council districts shall be geographically contiguous. Order priority number 2, to the extent practicable, the geographic integrity of any local neighborhood association boundaries, or local community of interest shall be respected in a manner that minimizes its division. And here we have a definition of a community of interest, which is a population that shares common social or economic interests that should be included within a single district for purposes of its fair and effective representation. And it's important to note that communities of interest do not include relationships with political parties, incumbents, or political candidates. Moving on to item number 3 in order of priority in the redistricting criteria. Council district boundaries should be easily identifiable and understandable by residents, and to the extent practicable, council districts should be bounded by natural and artificial barriers, by streets, or by the boundaries of the city. Item number 4, where it doesn't conflict with the preceding criteria, council districts should be drawn to encourage geographical compactness in a manner that nearby areas of population are not bypassed in favor of more distant population. And then number 5, in order of priority, is just any other commission adopted criteria that doesn't conflict with these other requirements. And just for the record, there are no other commission adopted criteria. Moving on, these are the items that the commission shall not consider when adopting the final map. The commission shall not adopt council district boundaries for the purpose of favoring or discriminating against a political party, and the commission shall not consider the place of residence of any individual, including an incumbent or political candidate, in the creation of a map. Now we'll look at some of the procedure for adoption of a final map and the report. This language comes out of the City Charter, Article 11, Section 11.10. And subsection A says, the commission shall file a preliminary redistricting plan and draft map with the city clerk, along with a written statement of findings and reasons for adoption, which shall include the criteria employed in the process and a full analysis and explanation of decisions made by the commission. The city clerk shall publish the preliminary redistricting plan and draft map at least 30 calendar days prior to the adoption of a final redistricting report and final map. And so I want to note that preliminary redistricting plan and draft map were published on January 27th, 2022 for draft map B1. So we're going through that 30-day review process now. And during that 30-day process, during the 30-day calendar period after the publication, the commission shall hold at least 5 public hearings, including 1 public hearing in each of the existing council districts. You can see the schedule up here on the screen. We're in meeting number 2 of 5 at Maidu Community Center. And just to talk about the schedule moving forward, next Tuesday we have a meeting at Mike Shelito Indoor Pool at 6 p.m. Next Thursday, February 17th, we have another hearing at Martha Riley Library at 6 p.m. And then on Tuesday, February 22nd at 6 p.m., we have a hearing at St. John's Episcopal Church. After we've heard comments from the public on the preliminary redistricting plan and draft map, the commission shall adopt a final redistricting report and final map. And that commission-adopted final redistricting report and final map has the force and effect of law, and it's effective 30 calendar days after it's filed with the city clerk and shall remain effective until the adoption of new district boundaries following the next census in 10 years. And the city council may not rescind, supersede, or revise the district boundaries that have been adopted by the commission. You'll note down here in red, we have a little bit of an update. We will be having the final map adoption meeting on Monday, February 28th at 6 p.m. in the City Council chambers at 311 Vernon Street. We do have a quorum for that meeting, and so that is barring something else coming up in the meantime, that would be the date that we would consider draft map B1 for final adoption. But if you want to stay updated on all the dates and meetings, please feel free to go to roseville.ca.us/redistricting. After the final map's adopted, the city clerk shall number each council district such that for as many residents as possible, the number of the city council district they reside in remains the same. That's been done already as we moved through the process of drawing these maps. And then finally, the final redistricting report and final map shall be subject to referendum in the same manner as ordinances. So that's some of the background on redistricting criteria and the procedure for adopting a final map. And now I am going to go, this is a graphic image of draft map B1. Again, it's over there on the left on the poster board if you'd like a closer look at this. Draft map B1 is an adjusted version of draft map B, and the adjustments were made by the Independent Redistricting Commission at their January 24th, 2022 meeting, following a series of public hearings on 6 draft maps in January of 2022. And as I mentioned, draft map B1 is an adjusted version of draft map B, and draft map B was originally published for public consideration on December 20th, 2021. So looking at draft map B1, you can see that it has an overall deviation of 9.4%, and I wanted to point out the slight differences between map B and map B1. You can see the pink district, district number 4 in the bottom right-hand corner. There was a little area down there that was changed from map B to map B1, as well as in the green district in the top right corner, district number 2, there was a slight change to a neighborhood and the way that the district was drawn over there. So aside from those 2 changes, there are really no other changes, as you can see in the comparison over there. And so that's the end of my presentation, and at this point I'm going to turn it back over to Chair Frank and have the commission receive any public comment on draft map B1.
Thank you, Joe. First, are there any questions from commissioners on Joe's presentation? Go ahead and open it up to public comment. Anybody like to speak on item 5.1? Hello, can you state your name for the record, please?
Marcus LaDuca from East Roseville. I just want to say thank you. Thank you for all the work getting to this point. A lot of hearings, a lot of maps. Thank you for getting to the next to last step on this process. Thank you for coming forward with map B1. Again, for the reasons I've stated before, I think it's not just closest to what we have now, but it keeps whole areas of Roseville together with those tweaks that the city attorney just mentioned. But I want to thank you most for listening. At least in the 3 public hearings I went to, the overwhelming majority of comments were in support of map B, and laid out very specific reasons for that, why folks were supporting that, your correspondence, but also from the public comments, and you listened. And I really appreciate your time. It's a huge dedication of time. It's not like you're getting paid to do this. So thank you. That's all. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak on item 5.1? Good evening. Can you state your name for the record, please?
Can I take this? Thank you. Good evening, Robert Dugan. I did try and call in on a previous occasion. I guess I had a bad connection, but my name's Robert Dugan. I'm from this side of town. Back when this side of town was the only growth area in town. When I grew up here, this didn't exist. And prior to spending 10 years as a volunteer on the Planning Commission, nothing pretty much west of Foothills existed in Roseville. So I've watched it all come and go. I know that your job has not been easy as we grow. Political forces change and the political dynamics change, but you guys wade through it all, and I just want to thank you for doing so. The folks I've talked to in all the districts, the folks that are not the vocal minority but the silent majority that just sit home and wonder what the heck's going to happen next, seem to be pretty pleased with this map. So y'all ought to give yourselves a pat on the back, because I know this hasn't been a fun process. So thank you for your hard work. Thank you for being a policy volunteer for the city. And I look forward to a month from now when this is done. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from the public? Let's go ahead and close public comments. Is there anything else staff wanted to address or bring up? Joe?
Just for clarification of, as we've talked about going through the process of, if we meet on February 28th to do a final map adoption, at that meeting there would be, the commission has to approve a final redistricting report, and so as part of that packet, I'm going to basically have a final redistricting report ready to go with, fill in the blank for what the vote is, or if there was another map chosen or something like that, so that we don't have to meet again, but you will essentially direct me to do various minor edits in the report, which then I would make on March 1st. And then when you look at, 30 days thereafter, it would have the force and effect of law. We're looking at March 31st is technically the day that if draft map B1 were approved as the final map on February 28th, that's the time frame of March 31st would be the time frame that it would be force and effect of law. So I know that we're looking forward to what that date is, and so, but we should be theoretically done on February 28th.
Are there any comments from commissioners at this time? Seeing none, is there a motion to adjourn till Tuesday, February 15th at Mike Shelito Pool?
I'll make a motion to adjourn. I'll second that.
Been a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, meeting's adjourned. Thank you, everybody.